Hey, well, good afternoon, everyone. Scott Gallagher here with Local Marketing Source, bringing you our weekly local marketing industry update. Now, next week's LMS member call is going to be Wednesday, August 21st at 4 p.m. Eastern. This week, we've got a few different things to bring you with some exciting tips, but the LMS membership provides you access to our training portal, our private members Facebook group. So for LMS members that haven't been in there, please get in there. There's some good conversation going on, some good questionings that are transpiring. And then, of course, you get access to all of our training material. Now, I also want to mention to LMS members that we've relaunched our resource directory. So when you go and click on the Home tab, there are over 65 different documents in there that you can download. They've been renamed, they've been recategorized, as well as take a look at the training menu of all the different videos. Those have also been repositioned based off of feedback from members. Now, for this week's overview, we are going to be covering a few different topics. We've also got some weekly tips to be discussing. But for the weekly update, I'm going to talk a little bit about Google Now. This has been a topic that I've been a little reluctant to talk about. I've been doing a lot of research on it. I've got a lot of opinions on it. I've been very reluctant because it is the future. It is very, very big. Google is just starting to scratch, very remotely beginning to scratch the surface of what Google Now could transpire, or what a search engine is going to be in 5 years. And on that note, Google has made an announcement as to what types of queries they want to search and provide their users. So how is Google Now going to be able to answer certain questions like, book me a trip to Toronto, Ontario, and then everything is taken care of for you. Yelp has also gone and continued on its sting of local businesses, outing local businesses out of Yelp, and essentially shutting down local businesses for one practice that violates their terms and conditions. Big deal. And finally, Google has released some additional videos. These are videos that are going to be found in the Webmaster Tools, additional training videos. And when Google goes to such efforts such as these types of videos, it is something you absolutely want to listen to. So hang in there. We will talk about that and specifically what types of videos Google has released. Now, for this week's tips, last week we talked about, we've been talking a lot about reviews. And for a local business, we specifically talked about how to educate your staff in order to have a lending ear for quality reviews. Well, we're going to shift gears here. And remember that local search marketing is based off creating content for a specific group of users and distributing that content into effective areas on the internet. Well, one of the most effective ways to get content and expose it out there, just like old school methodology, is through press releases. Well, press release marketing has become very confusing when you put the term internet in front of it. And we've got to take a step back and understand exactly what press releases are, how we distribute those press releases, how they're going to get exposure online, and ultimately, how often and what types of content we can create for press releases for a small local business. Now, for an internet marketing agency tip last week, on the extension of reviews, for a local business, we talked about training your staff. Well, for a local internet marketing agency that manages multiple clients, we discussed on how to get additional reviews for your customers. This is managing multiple local businesses at once, utilizing the review acquisition system. But on the trend of public releases, or PR, for an internet marketing agency, you're not always going to be in a local area to friend a journalist and whatnot. So we're going to talk a little bit about creating press releases for your clients. Well, before I get into the weekly update, I just want to talk about what's going on inside the LMS member Facebook group. If you haven't been in there, if you're an LMS member, get in. Say hello if you are a new member. There's a lot of old members out there. Some of our students have gone on to build very lucrative internet marketing agencies and asked them. This week we've got a gentleman by the name of Scott, and he's asking about specific citations for a specific vertical industry. get in there and take a look. Just give me 1 second here. I've learned when you're making film to always have multiple sources and different backups, and I just realized that my backup was not running. So on that note, we're good to go. But moving on, I want to talk about our local business tip this week. And your tip is to make a friend with a journalist, your local journalist. Well, what is a press release? A press release really, without having to read any specific marketing description or out of a marketing book, a press release is a method to get a piece of information out to the public using, traditionally, in this case, local publications. It could be industry publications, whether it be a local magazine or a local newspaper. But basically, you're creating a piece of content that is newsworthy for a business to inform an audience. Now, to write a press release, there are press release writing services that are available. You can go to Fiverr.com and get a press release written. Freelance.com, you can look at your local press release, and you're going to pay in price. You're going to pay for both the press release itself to be created and the distribution of it. Now, of course, you can do some of this yourself. Professional distribution is more effective than learning the skill set yourself. But the creation of a press release is relatively simple. We use a method called the inverted pyramid approach. Just think of a triangle that's upside down, very, very wide up at the top and very narrow at the bottom, utilizing a 3 or 4 paragraph approach. Your first paragraph essentially is going to be a short paragraph, very, very wide, very broad, has a full overview of what the press release is about. The body of the press release, the middle of it, is going to get much more descriptive into the specifics of the first paragraph. And finally, your last paragraph of a press release is going to describe the who and the what, the business name, the business information, the logistics of contact information, an email address, the writer, the source of information, etc., etc. And then once a press release is ultimately created, you want to distribute it. A local newspaper is very effective. An online local news source such as patch.com is very effective. Industry publications. If you're in the transportation industry, Courier Magazine, the MCAA magazine is very effective. But what we're talking about right now is local publications. And in most major metropolitan areas, you've got free publications and you've got paid publications for the consumer. If you're hopping on the subway and you go and open up a free newspaper. So you'll want a list of all the local free publications there. Now, when you do get that information published in the online world for a local business, that is a very, very highly authoritative, highly exposed piece of content that you're going to get a very authoritative citation and or link back to the website or the business profile. Maintain that relationship just like any other relationship that you may establish, and it's not wrong to have a relationship with multiple publications. All right, moving on to our weekly update. Google Now, they're bringing more now to search with quick answers. Google Now is a little quirky. I really haven't talked about it too much because it's predictive search. I've tried it on mobile, I've tried it in desktops in the different forms, and they're not very predictive of what I'm searching for. I can see some flaws. But ultimately, Google Now wants to give you the answers before you start to type it in. Now, how do they do this? Well, they look at a lot of different factors. They look at user behavior, they look at location, they look at previous searches, frequency of previous searches, uh, perhaps velocity of previous searches. They look at a personalized history. Um, and ultimately, it's taking personalized search to a different level. Now, does Google know that I'm going to hop on my computer at 4:20 in the afternoon to go and check the weather update? Or do they know that I utilize Google to type in Facebook instead of putting it into the URL? And that's the first place I tend to go. Well, these are going to be certain searches that are going to come up in greater frequency. Um, but it's still got its problems. You know, I live in a household that doesn't, we don't have profiles. We've got many laptops running around, and we just want to jump on the laptop for something quick. And so I've got different people utilizing my laptop. I'm also utilizing other people's laptops that skew the search. That also has been skewed through Netflix. You know, you recently watched, you know, Ben 10, and my kids are watching and whatnot. Um, so there's some hurdles to that. It's also a little frustrating. Um, it's also a little frustrating to get the information that you're not really looking for. But I've noticed the more I use Google now, the more predictive they are getting. They are updating a lot of things. But Google is trying to ask questions both verbally and typing it into the mobile and desktop. You know, items like, has my flight arrived from Toronto yet? Has it been delayed? Siri types of questions such as, what plans do I have this weekend? Or when will my UPS package arrive? And these are some queries that predictive search is now beginning to be able to answer. But what Google has come on the record and said is they want to answer queries like, book me a flight to Chicago. And it's done. Transfer $1,000 to my credit card. Pay my electrical bill in full. Let me know when I've got 2 days left to pay this particular bill. The power is phenomenal. You know, I start to think about the disorganization in my life when it comes to oil changes, when it comes to children's schedules, buying clothes for the kids, eating habits. And these are all certain things that are constantly, information that's constantly going into my head. I'm constantly calculating, not calories, but certain input that the kids may be getting, or even myself, even my water intake, you know, are certain things that are important to measure or monitor. But Google now is now going to be able to answer this, which, you know, I gotta say, how did this go? You know, there used to be a time that we would sprint to go store blackberries. Well, now we go to the Sprint store to pick blackberries. It's kind of a play. You know, technology has transformed so much. We can go out and, you know, I can go out into the bush for a week and utilize technology in different ways. But the moment that I rely on technology too much, such as GPS waypoints, what happens if that battery dies? You know, we forget that when we're walking through the bush, we really didn't need this GPS. We can mark trees in different ways. We can use gunshots to be able to find people, whistles, different forms of communication. And all of these arts are really lost to technology. So, you know, I'm digressing a little bit here. But it's going to scare me that, you know, these online operations are going to manage our life. I want to embrace it to a certain degree. But in another degree, as somebody that eats and breathes internet marketing, I've been back in this country for 4 days, longer than that. not quite a week. And I was just informed that my cell phone was there. I hate that type of communication. I'd much rather sit down in front of somebody and communicate. Have my neighbor come over. Well, that is no different than marketing a business online. You've got to recognize that. You can't keep all of your efforts solely in the online world to manipulate an algorithm in a certain way. You need these relationships to build a business, such as a relationship with a journalist. Yelp is shutting down small businesses. Not directly, and not really. The fact of the matter is that some businesses are building themselves on sites like Yelp. They're able to manipulate the algorithm in certain ways to get better results and build nice, lucrative businesses from it. But if you get caught having fake reviews or manipulating the Yelp system, you're shut down. At least out of Yelp, which in turn is shutting down businesses. Yelp has just shut down several different accounts in another big batch all at once for accounts that have paid reviews. They put a big alert on it and ultimately humiliate that business. They got a lot of press last time they did this, Yelp, a lot of negative press. And they stood firm. And now, roughly 6 months later, they have another big batch that they're doing this. I can't emphasize how important it is to implement a review acquisition system into your company. Do not solicit reviews. Do not pay for reviews. Do not try to scam or cheat the system. Google has gone ahead and released some videos. They've released 7 different videos. You're going to be able to find these videos in the Webmaster Tools section. These are videos on spammy links, manual spam detection, manual action notification. Get a chance to watch these videos. Understand from Google's perspective how to implement a reconsideration request. But that's it, and that's coming to the conclusion of our weekly update. I'm going to take 30 seconds now and then come back and talk about our tip for a local internet marketing agency. All right. I hope you guys have had a good week. We've had some real cold weather here. It hit 50 degrees Fahrenheit, which is, I don't know, like 10 degrees Celsius in Chicago. Um, Good times to stay inside. Kids are back at school today. Uh, the middle of August. It's just summer's over, eh? Uh, I don't know. Kids don't go back to school in Canada for another 3.5, 4 weeks. I could always remember starting around September 8th, September 9th. But that in the business world, that changed, and that really means that it's time to shape up, and it's time to get back to work. Summer is always slow for businesses, very difficult to communicate and contact. But as soon as the kids got back to school, businesses tended to change. And I've always had my best sales months in September. It actually just dawned on me this morning that heck, we should do that, and we were pulling out. But I haven't personally been involved in direct sales for about a year now. Um, but September's a good month, and so people are ready to make changes. They are looking at their final quarter. Some people have budgets that need to be spent before the end of the year. They're looking at planning for the following year. September, October, November are great, great months. So I just want to remind all LMS students of that, to get out there, sharpen your sales skills, sharpen your relationship skills, communicate with your customers. If you haven't spoken with them, get on the phones with them. These are all really good times. At least things to start thinking about now that school's back. But creating a PR campaign for clients is a little bit different than creating a PR campaign for one local business. You're going to be managing multiple clients. And a lot of us are managing clients in similar industries, so that's really easy to start leveraging content. You could very easily start to identify certain themes within the same industry and expand off of those themes. You know, if you go pick up some industry publications, one or two, and start to look at the press releases that other businesses are doing in there, that's a really good opportunity for you to learn about what type of content is good for a press release within a specific industry. Getting press releases published in trade publications is super, super easy. Nine and a half times out of 10, you always get published. Make sure you've got the relationship, the same relationship I was talking about with local businesses that you develop with the editors of trade publications. There is an Excel management sheet available in the LMS portal that you can download to help you manage these for multiple clients as well. Frequency, typically once a quarter. That's what we will try to promise customers. Um, you want something published in a local publication at least once a quarter. Discuss it with them. Ask them for ideas, and make sure you've got ideas as well. Don't just say, "Well, what's going on in the news today?" Well, you know, start to throw out certain ideas too. Um, you know, has there been good employees? Has the company done anything good for the local community? Do you have a Christmas party coming up? Or are you recognizing anybody in particular? Any promotions that have happened within the business? Any capital acquisitions that the business has undergone? Technological changes, enhancements, moves. There's a lot of different reasons that you can come up with. You can even create, you know, if a local dentist starts to get into a new field, such as teeth whitening, and they utilize a certain machine. That's a popular machine in the industry. Well, the local community now has access to that technology. So service changes as well. It might be a good idea. We don't have this for our agency, but it might be a good idea to be able to have a document that you can give to your customers when you're generating ideas too to help them. They know a lot more about their business than you do, but as time goes on, the project managers will learn certain ideas. All right. So on that note, go ahead. I'll open the floor to okay. I guess we're answering all of our questions in the Facebook group. All right, guys. Well, you have yourself a great week, and we will talk to you next week. Bye for now.